The media greatly influences society. They inform people about what is happening. It permeates people's lives by creating their own criteria and opinions. In this way, the media moves the masses, creating different social movements.
For over 60 years, the people of Ambazonia were deprived of such privileges. The privilege to enhance their own criteria and opinion. They have suffered cultural genocide for 6 long decades, but not in this age and not with Undaunted-Abc Amba News on board.
You must understand that wars are fought and won in the media. The speed of the revolution on Ambazonia's quest for freedom cannot be explained without highlighting the diligent use of the media.
Franco-Cameroon colonizers, among other strategic moves, weaponized the media against Ambazonia for so long, and they continue to do so even today. The question would be, how much do the oppressed people of Ambazonia need to counter the media rage?
Indeed, how much more is required to stop the genocide? The carnage in Ambazonia didn't start today. In 1961, 1972, 1984, 1992, Ambazonians were slaughtered in huge numbers and help was not forthcoming. Why? Because the oppressor was the piper in the media.
The good news is, we have what it takes to dictate the pace.
Right now, ABC Amba TV is taking advantage of the wonders of multimedia aggressively
to inform the misinformed and disinformed with Undaunted and other revolutionary programs bringing it to the news, untold stories.
Most importantly, to win the media war by taking ABC Amba TV into every multimedia platform.
In a word, where the importance of storytelling can never be overemphasized, Ambazonians has to tell her own story, not the other way round.
And like we say it always, Ambazonia must narrate her story accurately. We can do this together, you know, right? You are just a click away. Visit our website at www.abcambatv.com, and the steps are quite simple.
With just a click on the website, you can become a club member with so many benefits.
You can also make a one-time donation, advertise and showcase your goods and services at the marketplace on the website.
That was easy, right? You're welcome on board.
And thank you for opting for the winning team.
From the savannah to the Midland and the Atlantic, Ambazonia has risen to fall no more. Ambazonia rise.
Dear Ambazonians on the home front and diaspora.
Dear Ambazonia freedom fighters in the home front and in the diaspora.
The Ethics Commission of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia is coming out to alert you that it is becoming more and more evident that the former British Southern Cameroons, aka Ambazonians, will soon emerge as the newest nation in the world.
We are calling on all of us to start preparing to receive Ambazonia as parents prepare to receive their firstborn child. Malcolm X said, tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. We are already very educated, talented, and very rich in natural resources. Do all this guarantee a safe and prosperous Ambazonia? The answer is an emphatic no. Theodore Roosevelt said, to educate a person in the mind but not in morals is to educate a menace in society.
Ambazonians, it is time to start planning to restore our cultural and social values that characterize us as a people of good repute. Before our Republic to Cameroon invasion, we were respectful of each other, of the law, and of our culture. We earned our living through honest hard work, making clean money for ourselves.
Our values helped us to maximize the benefits of our natural resources as well as our human resources. Southern Cameroons were serene and clean, simply beautiful in spirit and in the physical. We all long for such a place to call home, and we can make it happen by God's grace.
Our local government areas and counties, are you prepared? Do you have an ethics commission in your local government areas, counties to serve as a moral compass for you? Do you have a copy of the Ambazonia Ethics Code and the Constitution.
All arms of government, do you have an ethics agency? Departments of DSS, HSS, Communications and IT, Education, DHACM, DFA and DEINR. Do you have ethics agency to serve as a moral compass for your departments?
Ambazonians, you need to know your rights by reading the Ethics Code and the Constitution.
Shame unethical behavior and reward good behavior in your communities. Hold leaders accountable. Be the watchdog of you.
You are the main research center of moral principles with the responsibility of moralizing the society. How effective are you outside the church building?
Maya Angelou said, when you know better, every Friday at 10 p.m. Amba time.
Exclusively on ABC Amba TV. Stay tuned.
Good evening and welcome to Undaunted, bringing into the news untold stories. I am Star Smart. Let's begin. Looking at the social media this morning, you will realize that Ambazonians have largely rejected Mr. Anu's investigative report relating to his cousin's disappearance. From his live broadcast of today, there are concerns that in between the lines, the truth is yet to be explained to the people of Ambazonia. So much has been said, predicated already, who is hiding what and why. After all is said and done, it would appear that FMA of Labialem is no more. By every indication, he is dead and very dead. Can another restoration forces learn from this to stay focused? Can ARFs just respect their chain of command as prescribed by the Amba Peace Plan? That's what we intend to find out. In tonight's Undaunted, we will be looking at this deeply. According to reports, Paris in France wants to talk about the war in the Cameroon without the involvement of the real stakeholders. It is like using the old methods that we already know. How on earth is this possible? France has never shown any interest in consulting the Ambazonian leadership. Macron has rarely made comments about the
Colonial gendarmes in Jakiri local government area, Boye County, extorts money for ID card confiscated from denizens. Chris Anu says he knows who killed his cousin Oliver, aka FMA, and Ambazonians widely seem not to believe a word. The question is, why? Over 20 rebel groups suspend participation in Chad peace talk. The move comes as a number of groups accuse the government of harassment, intimidation, threats, and disinformation. Southern Cameroonians and Ambazonians expect anything good from Macron at your own risk. In the course of the news today, we will tell you why you should not. Shankar Donetsk demands 43 million euros in damages from FIFA over lost transfer fees. That's the last information from sports. Rebels in the Ethiopian region of Tigray have set up a team of negotiators to discuss peace, a spokesman for the rebels announced on Monday. This comes almost a month after federal authorities named a team of 7 negotiators for possible peace talks. On July 14th, the day after the first meeting of its own negotiating committee, the Ethiopian federal government accused the rebels of taking no steps towards peace. So far, no date, no place or framework has been set for the upcoming negotiations. The talks were first mentioned in June by Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. The two parties continue to differ on the identity of the future mediator. While Addis Ababa only wants to discuss under the aegis of the African Union (AU), the rebels are demanding mediation by Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta, and this is where we will begin the full briefings of Undaunted tonight. I am Onyi Opmale, and as always, Stir Smart is here as well. Good evening, Stir.
Good evening, Onyi. The rebels from the Tigray People's Liberation Front, TPLF, a party that ruled Ethiopia for nearly 3 decades until 2018, that praised the closeness of the AU mediators, Nigerian Olusegun Obasanjo to Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. 20 months of war, the rebel spokesperson insisted the status of the disputed Western Tigray zone was non-negotiable. The area claimed by Tigrayans and their Amhara neighbors, the country's second largest ethno-linguistic population, is currently occupied by forces from the Amhara region who've backed the federal army in Tigray against the TPLF. Since the war erupted in November 2020, the TPLF regained control of most of Tigray in the course of 2021. Fighting has virtually ceased in the region since a humanitarian truce was decreed in March. However, the humanitarian situation is appalling in the landlocked region, which lacks many essential services, electricity, telecommunications, banks, fuel, etc.
Now, let us look at the origin of the conflict. How did this conflict begin? The root of this crisis can be traced to Ethiopia's system of government. Since 1994, Ethiopia has had a federal system in which different ethnic groups control the affairs of 10 regions. Remember that powerful party from Tigray? Well, this party, the Tigray People's Liberation Front, TPLF, was influential in setting up this system. It was the leader of a 4-party coalition that governed Ethiopia from 1991 when a military regime was ousted from power. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, who won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2019, has made sweeping political reforms. Under the coalition, Ethiopia became more prosperous and stable, but concerns were routinely raised about human rights and the level of democracy. Eventually, discontent morphed into protest, leading to a government reshuffle that saw Mr. Abiy appointed Prime Minister.
Mr. Abiy liberalized politics, set up a new party, the Prosperity Party, and removed key Tigrayan government leaders accused of corruption and repression. Meanwhile, Mr. Abiy ended a long-standing territorial dispute with neighboring Eritrea, earning him a Nobel Peace Prize in 2019. This moves won Mr. Abiy popular acclaim, but caused unease among critics in Tigray. Tigray
directions. While the recent conflict in Tigray renewed international focus on Ethiopia, more challenges lies ahead, including elections now scheduled for June 5th. The state of Ethiopia's political transition is contested and the country remains polarized. However, as Ethiopian scholars Emet Getcho, Mihari Tadele Maru, and Johannes Gadumu discuss, a national dialogue process may have the potential to address the country's dilemmas.
Amba bets the political transition underway since Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed came to power is not Ethiopia's first transition. Well, transition should be considered a recurrent Ethiopian phenomenon which unfortunately partially addresses the country's historical problems, although it is also responsible for spawning new local conflicts. By appointing new regional state presidents and councils, the Prime Minister's office is replacing federalism with centralization. Supporters of Abiy back these actions as part of the transition to democracy and the preservation of the state, seemingly even at the cost of political instability, military confrontation, and the death of civilians. Choreographed narratives of national unity undermine the need for the constitutionally guaranteed governance of diversity. Political leaders of the most critical opposition to Abiy are already in jail.
Ethiopia has shut down independent and critical local media outlets, increased censorship and state propaganda, and reduced academic freedom. As a consequence, the Ethiopian state is in a precarious situation. The recent announcement of the election calendar only makes the state more fragile. Reforms by Abiy's administrations were initially fast-paced, although this has seen slowed down, but many key promises were fulfilled. In the first year of reforms, prisoners were released, the media revived, and exiled opposition returned into the country. Not just that, the exiled oppositions also returned into the country. A reformed ruling party has been established, which created inclusive politics by better involving regional political parties than previously. There have been serious peace and security.
That's military government of destabilizing peace efforts. Their decision on Saturday came a few hours after interim President Mohamed Idris Deby decided to set the date of the dialogue for August 20, a move that angered the rebels who accused the government of trying to exclude them from the event. Deby, 38, declared himself head of a Transitional Military Council, TMC, in April 2021. After his father, Chad's longtime ruler Idris Deby, was killed while visiting troops fighting an armed uprising in the north. Initially, the council had said it would oversee an 18-month transition to democratic rule, but it has shown little sign of organizing elections as that deadline nears. Deby has presented the national dialogue as the first step towards planning a vote. Rebel groups were invited, but they agreed to participate only if certain conditions were met before the talks. This led to the so-called pre-dialogue, which has been taking place in Doha. The success of the pre-talks is seen as crucial for the national dialogue to be inclusive and effective, but after nearly 4 months, they have not produced a final document. It takes two to negotiate, both to make peace and war. Adum Yakub, head of one of the main groups, FPRN, Popular Front for National Renaissance, said on Monday during a press conference, "For the moment, we find ourselves alone," he noted, adding that exchanges with the government's delegation have almost never been direct since talks started nearly 4 months ago. In a statement on Saturday, a number of rebel groups had accused the government's delegation of harassments, intimidation, threats, and disinformation. Pressure has started to grow from opposition groups, an ally of France and all the Western countries in a fight against armed groups in Africa's Sahel region, and bilateral partners to advance the transition process. In March, peace talks in Qatar between Chad's military government and dozens of opposition groups took place as a first step towards ending a rebellion and holding elections since the turmoil started with the killing of former leader Deby. But then, Chad's TMC postponed the national dialogue that was set to take place in the country's capital, N'Djamena, on May 10th. The former leader Deby ruled with an iron fist for nearly 30 years. He died during a visit to the battlefield where Chadian soldiers fought against a rebel group that had crossed into Sudan from Libya. Gab Ellison reporting for Undaunted-ABC Amba News.
And in Africa, heads of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, met in Ghana's capital, Accra, to assess efforts to secure guarantees for restoring civilian rule in Mali, Guinea, and Burkina Faso. Mali underwent coups in August 2020 and May 2021, followed by Guinea in September 2021 and Burkina Faso this January. Fearing contagion in a region known for military takeovers, ECOWAS imposed tough trade and economic sanctions against Mali but lesser punishments against Guinea and Burkina Faso. After discussion, the heads of state took a firm fist decision to lift the economic and financial sanctions. ECOWAS Commission President Jean-Claude Cassis-Brou told reporters about the decision in Mali. Brou said ECOWAS would continue to monitor the situation and also maintain on ECOWAS suspension of Mali for now.
Their decision also demands no military junta member run as a candidate in Mali's future presidential election. According to one ECOWAS delegate, ECOWAS in January had imposed a trade and financial embargo on Mali after its military government unveiled a scheme to rule for 5 years. The sanctions have badly hit the poor, landlocked Sahel states whose economy is already under severe strain from a decade-long jihadist insurgency. After months of talk, Malian authorities on Wednesday approved a plan to hold presidential elections in February 2024. The vote will be preceded by a referendum on a revised constitution in March 2023 and legislative elections in late 2023 as well. The ECOWAS mediator in Mali, former Nigerian leader Goodluck Jonathan, visited the country last week. A member of his entourage had told AFP Mali had made enormous progress.
In Business Africa this week, African countries have made progress on information exchange in 2021. This improvement has helped mobilize resources and better combat tax evasion. Interview with Zayda Maneta, head of the Global Forum Secretariat. Since 2014, the exchange of information upon request has allowed African countries to identify more than $244 million in additional revenue, is what the latest report on tax transparency released last month. The aim is to enable states to fight tax evasion and illicit financial flows. In Mali, growth prospects for 2022 have been undermined by economic sanctions, regional inflation, and the crisis in Ukraine. Will the lifting of the ECOWAS sanctions recently achieved by the country give the economy a new lease of life? Interview with Malian economist Modibo Mao. And in Togo, measures have been announced to reach a forecast production of 146,826 tons of seed cotton for 180,000 hectares of land planted.
You're watching the People's Television, ABC Amba TV, the voice of Ambazonia. Stay tuned.
Alright, there is a video of Chris Anu would want you to watch.
When it is morning, we will see or meet again. I can say good night to FMA, my brother, the Ambazonian hero. The BLM says good night to you. Ambazonia stands for you and bid you a good night too. And should you happen to meet Indele and Jua, Jangu Focha, Abed Bukok, Pa Ayaba, Mula Lituba, and all the patrons of Ambazonia who went ahead, tell them, you led a generation.
I'm sure you must have seen some of those excerpts as well. We are in the business of breaking the news, and some might have wondered why we will react differently. The reason is someplace the gimmick. Now, on yesterday's purported investigative report, this is what Kemi Ashu had to say briefly. In her words, she says, so far I have heard 6 different versions of one murder case. FBI and CIA combined cannot tell such disjointed tales of the same assassination. Funny, right? And then she exclaims, Chair. Stella, what do you have to say?
I mean, this is just pathetic. I think all we need is to visit the different reactions on Facebook to ascertain, square how Ambazonians feel based on available data. One of the earliest reactions of yesterday's purported investigative report came from activist Uchiba Nelson. Christopher Anu said he can't disclose the identity of those who killed his brother, just like he refused to disclose those he claimed he gave $135,000 to. Wasn't it better to disclose the killers and their pictures so Ambazonians can hunt them down so that ARFs can distance themselves from them? By the way, who detailed Christopher of the story he is narrating step by step about how the killer did it? Trust Christopher Anu at your own risk. He sacrificed his brother to prove to La République du Cameroon that he is bent on selling Ambazonia. Like he said, he has the final say if FMA is actually dead. I pity blind followers of these sellouts. I still believe are all made up stories in Hollywood movies, given that the story doesn't add up and the FMA we know was already in Ghana. This is what Uchiba Nelson had to say.
Another reaction came from Rosalie Nalim Keshi. She says in her words, I am very angry with years of deception. What a poorly staged drama. How despicable, given the pain in our hearts. How many Judases shall we deal with before we reach Boyer? After narrating a cooked-up story, the killer of Field Marshal King burst into tears. Oh well, she considers that as a lie. How pretentious of you, wicked man, she says. What a miscalculation. We have become wiser. You can't continue to take Ambazonians for fools. You don't deserve our sympathy, and you will never get it, except from the few unfortunate souls that are still under your evil spell.
The social media reaction keeps going on. There's still a lot more. There's one from Mili Chi. She wasn't left out, and all those who did reach, she said, Lefange, Kianj, Fontem Asonganyi are his legacy. FMA, aka Oliver Leke, rose up and fought wholeheartedly for Ambazonia, #Ambazonia, until his own brother derailed him and cast him to the enemy to be slaughtered. This will be the saddest story told in #Ambazonia till the end of time. While under the leadership of President Sacco and our interim government, FMA was well cared for and given huge sums of money to make sure he got what he and his boys needed. He was well protected that the enemy La République du Cameroon could never get to him as much as they tried. He excelled and was feared by the enemy La République du Cameroon and held by #Ambazonians. It is sad to know what his own brother coup plotters, Chris Anu, who deceived him and pulled him away from our interim government, the main protection he had. FMA ended up rejecting our interim government and decided to follow his brother and his fake interim government led by Marianta to his own demise. Sad. He was deceived and exposed to the enemy to be easily killed if the story is true. If FMA is truly gone, may his soul rest in peace. All those who he trained will rise up and continue the fight. We will not relent till we reach Boya. #Aluta, continua, #draft for Manu, #Ambazonia is free. This is from Miliche.
Alright, still on social media reaction to the matter, we have this one here from Mola Ng Samuel. And he wrote on Facebook, he says, the level of details given by Christopher as he narrated what purportedly transpired leading to the death of his brother is higher than anyone that could possibly come from many years of investigation by the CIA. The way he narrated was as if he watched everything that happened from start to finish in real time using surveillance cameras with mags from his house overseas. He says, I am now totally convinced that Christopher Anu sold his brother to the enemy. he has unknowingly told the world that he has his brother killed by cooking up such a detailed narrative of events leading to his death, just like someone who knew the plans of the enemy and how it was executed. Also, according to Moji, he says, I find it strange that he made a claim that La Republique du Cameroon did not kill his brother, and yet narrated how La Republique du Cameroon made use of hired assassins to carry out the operations that eliminated the Red Dragon's bots, meaning La Republique du Cameroon not only had him executed, it hatched a plan that led to the execution as well.
From these reactions, you can put 1 and 2 together for yourself to know that some of these things, what they really are. We will not before the point that must just to inform you that our news director, Tarpadi King, will come up with an exclusive discussion tomorrow, Wednesday, to observe the tentacle to expand on the details and our observation tomorrow. The topic of discussion will be that of Oliver, aka FMA, the truth revealed, who killed FMA, why and how. I can't wait to watch this program. You would want to ask, what's the purpose of La Republique du Cameroon enhancement on this story relating to FMA's disappearance? Well, just watch this video.
Talk on these two topics of today. We are in the presence of an Iron Lady. I'll say an Iron Lady because she was presented to me as an Iron Lady. We are talking about Jokem Quinevate. Anka, you are the National Secretary of Justice, Peace and Human Rights for the PAC Party. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Miss Anne. It's a pleasure to be on your platform. Hello to everyone that is watching home and abroad.
Okay, thank you very much for coming and cut down. I can say he was killed. We move over to Quinevate. Can we say that the killing of Field Marshal, is it a good news?
I would say that there is nothing glorious about the death of anybody. There's nothing to be celebrated about the death of Field Marshal. Yes, he's done whatever he has done. There are many others that are doing things like him or even worse than he has done. And it is not of the norms of the human rights for someone's life to be taken. So it's a little baffling for me to realize that there are people celebrating over the death of someone. Many people have been killed already. So far, how much has the killings gone to appease the troubles in Cameroon? What has the killings done so far to end or to tame the troubles that we are facing, the political crisis that we are facing in our country? So I really don't see anything to be to applaud about the death of Field Marshal. On the contrary, I think that Cameroonians should be even more in tears because this is just going to be the birth of some other person that will want to avenge the death of his master, and then it's going to bring more casualties than what has been done already. If we really need to celebrate or clap about something, then we should be thinking about possible solutions like a dialogue. Those are the things that Cameroonians should applaud over, and not the death of somebody.
So I think some were saying that they are happy because it brings an end to the numerous like tenor crisis. Maybe one of his followers killed him. When you listen to this, when you listen to all of this, according to you, who actually killed Field Marshal?
It is not in my place to determine who killed Field Marshal, but I think that Cameroonians have the right to good information.
Okay.
If there is rumor, if there is underground rumor holding that he died as a result of in-house fighting, and then the military is parading his corpse all around the town, it is just proper for the information to be verified. We need veracity. We need the truth. Who is responsible for the death? Because it's just going to be totally abnormal and absurd for Field Marshal to have died because of some infighting, and then the military is taking the glory for his death. And second of all, I'd want to say that parading his corpse round, like we heard in the news reports, parading his corpse round all over the national territory, particularly the English-speaking zones, where the crisis is at its apex. What is the aim? To frighten the population? people's mental sanity have to be, their mental sanity have to be protected. Psychological health, it has to be protected. We are humans, we're not animals.
Maybe to prove that he is actually dead, because there was doubt that he is not dead.
There is nothing to be proven. What Cameroonians need is proof over better things than over the life of a human. We need proof that there is going to be peace in our country. We need proof that there is going to be a round table discussion where people will sit and problems will be tabled and solutions will be sought out for. We need proof that Cameroonians' voices will become heard, will become useful in the ears of their leaders. We need proof that the situation, the political situation of our country is going to change, where we will not have people that are unable to walk on their feet, people that are unable to reason by themselves, people that are unable to speak and their voices are heard because of their age. We need proof that such people are going to step down so that the much younger and agile generation will take over. This is what we need proof of.
So if I
All right, and at this junction, we must say that she's spoken well, but we need proof of a whole lot of things. You know, when she talked about dialogue, I thought to myself, not just any kind of dialogue, but the dialogue that would lead to a free Ambazonia, the dialogue that would ensure that Ambazonia becomes a free nation of its own. Not the dialogue that is bringing, we want peace, but that peace should be able to give us what we want, right?
Indeed. We've heard it a lot of times from the interim government that we want, Ambazonians want to go to the negotiation table, not because they are scared of the war, but because they are tired of people dying on both ends. You heard her say there is nothing to celebrate about anyone losing their lives. So for Ambazonians to keep insisting on coming to the Swiss, to come to the point where there is a free Ambazonia, the whole war is gone, is for both parties, so people don't lose their lives anymore. There is nothing to celebrate about someone losing his or her life. Well, we can't wait for tomorrow when our news director will go in depth on the mother, if that's how I put it, the mother of FMA. We can't wait. Well, we'll get on with the news now.
You're watching the People's Television, ABC Amba TV, the voice of Ambazonia. Stay tuned.
French President Franco Mitterrand sent to Biya Jamais Anglophone a tutor, which means no Anglophone will be president of La République du Cameroon. And this was in 1992, when John Frundi, an Anglophone, won the presidential election, and his victory was stolen by the French and handed to Biya. The latter himself had admitted that he was Mitterrand's best student. Cardinal Tumi, in November 2017, lashed out at France's fueling the ongoing Anglophone crisis. Cardinal Christian Tumi accused France of seeking to make such the majority French-speaking Cameroonians assimilate the majority English-speaking population. Tumi, who was 87 years old at the time, said that after the reunification of Cameroon, the idea was to wipe out from Cameroon the Anglo-Saxon culture.
Now, I'll quote this. I was in Rome for the Synod of Bishops, and the French embassy invited us for a reception, those of us who were from the French-speaking countries. So I was there, and one of the workers in the embassy approached me and asked me which country I came from. I told him that I was from Cameroon. He immediately told me, we are very happy that you are assimilating the Anglophones, which means that was the policy of France. To me, the press, the Cardinal also saw French meddling behind the irregularities in the country's 1992 presidential elections, which involved an Anglophone, John Frundi. I'll quote again, everybody knows that Frundi won the election in 1992. Who organized the coup? It was Mitterrand, and I am citing something French President Francois Mitterrand said to Biya Jamais on Anglophone a Tudi. This is what Tumi said.
Now, the phrase means no Anglophone should ever be allowed in a Tudi. A Tudi is a French Cameroon presidential palace, in case you do not know. The cardinal concluded that what is creating the whole problem is the presence of France in Cameroon, whereas the English people left, whereas they packed their boxes and everything and went away. Cameroon controlled by France, that's the problem. Now with this testimony, can any rightful thinking Ambazonia expect any amount turn in French policy? In Cameroon, of course, zero. From the go to date, it has been the same. Broadly speaking, the question of France's involvement in the decision-making process of Cameroon leaders has been the focus of everyone's attention. Now, the question really is, who is in charge in Cameroon?
You know, there's something I'd like to bring to memory. In 2019, a group of academics and human rights activists used the launching of the Paris Peace Forum to pressure President Macron to use France's considerable influence to help bring Cameroon's ongoing conflict to an end. 3 years after and counting, Macron has remained evasive, thereby enhancing the genocidal agenda by the occupier, La République du Cameroon. Today we count over 40,000 innocent lives lost, over 500 villages and towns burnt down to ashes, hundreds of thousands of denizens sent on exile or as refugees, and Macron watching like it's a gallery. When newspaper carry captions, impending French president's visit to discuss Anglophone crisis, the million-dollar question one wants to ask is, discuss the crisis with who?
The question to discuss the crisis with who? Now, this visit, which to bona fide Ambazonians is a non-event, should be taken as another distraction, like the so-called major national dialogue, which was actually a monologue, and an enlarged CPDM party come together, which gave a stillbirth special status. Macron will certainly be discussing with some ruling CPDM pages and some BA appointees who have been fanning flames and feeding fat as the liberation war escalates. Now this is a breaking news. Colonial La République du Cameroon disappointed with slave PM Dion Ngute. Reports say Dion Ngute was appointed with the sole mission to help crumble the southern Cameroon's Ambazonia liberation struggle. But 3 years have gone with Dion being unable to deliver the goods, and Yaoundé is showing him the door.
Reports say dark clouds are gathering over Dion Ngute, the colonial prime minister, who is on his way out of the Star building in Yaoundé. It is now an open truth that Dion Ngute was elevated to the rank of prime minister because the Unity Palace felt he could help disconnect the southern zone from the northern zone, thus reducing the crisis which is tearing the country apart. But 3 years after taking the reins of power, Dion Ngute is still missing in action. The southern zone is still a hotspot and there is no end in sight. Reports say he tried to bribe General Tenkobo to keep it low in Indian County, but his own right-hand man, Kenneth Nanji, the former colonial mayor of Ekondo Titi local government area, saw the agreement between Dion Ngute and General Tenkobo as a possibility for him to enrich himself. But that only resulted in a plot by Dion Ngute which cost him his life.
It was revealed that cutting out the southern zone from the northern zone will require cutting Manu County completely off. But this is not possible without massive sacrifices and arrangements. Noted for their volatile and mercurial temperament, it will take a long time for the people of Manu County to walk away from the struggle, especially as Sisiko Julius Ayuk Tabe is still in the colonial Yaoundé maximum security prison. Findings equally revealed that it will take another well-respected and trusted Mayushon who can talk Sisiko into walking away from secession to disconnect the southern zone from the northern zone. Reports are that there are a few South Zoners who have been very influential when it comes to the crisis, which has made the entire Ambazonians ungovernable. Two have been identified, and they are both working for international organizations. The candidate at the World Bank has a likable character, simple and peace-loving, but he has no leverage over separatists and might not deliver the peace the colonial government is looking forward to. According to a source at the colonial presidency of La Republic de Cameroon, the right candidate will be someone who can talk to all the faction and has the trust of his people. The source adds that colonial La Republic de Cameroon needs someone with a very strict personality who is open to new ideas and can bring separatists to the fold because, I quote, "We do not need to split our country." That is La Republic de Cameroon.
If Indian and Manu counties can be stabilized, then the fighting will be concentrated in the northern zone, and this will make it easy to focus on the pockets of resistance in the northern zone, the source intimidating, adding that. We are still hearing that there is someone in Abidjan who can help with this mess in Cameroon. Many people hold him in high esteem. I heard that this person is not interested in money and has a high sense of political awareness. A friend of mine in the intelligence community says they have been attending fundraisers for internally displaced persons in Washington, D.C. with separatists, though they believe in federalism. The source, which elected anonymity, said.
The source says, I hear there are a few sticking points which are making it hard for the government to come up with an acceptable cabinet. My sources at the presidency have said that the Abidjan candidate has underscored the need to free Sisiku, Julius Ayuk-Tabe, and others arrested during the conflict. He stressed that some gestures would be necessary to demonstrate that the government is a reliable peace broker, but has advised seems to be falling on deaf ears, and this is only making things worse. The killings are still going on, and the spirit of revenge is clearly visible. The killings of Field Marshal will not go unpunished. Many soldiers and civilians will be caught in the crossfire. Our source said, the government is yet to come to terms with the fact that a military victory will not be possible, and some Yaoundé hawks are still of the opinion that their field decentralization policy is still the right policy to pursue. I have heard that the Abidjan candidate has been arguing that the decentralization policy has failed and it will not deliver any meaningful result, and that if the government really needs to walk away from the quagmire it has created for itself, then it must bend over backwards, the source said.
Of course, the government must meet the separatists halfway, and we need someone who can bring everybody with him to Yaoundé, at least mentally. We thought Dion Ngute would deliver the golden egg, but he has failed woefully. The Unity Palace is now aware of his failed dealings with some unpopular fighters in his native Indian. Those dealings have not really changed much in terms of violence. Indian division, like Manu division, is still a no-go area, and it will take a lot of convincing from things to be better, and Dion, who is a man of few words, is not the person who will do, such heavy lifting, this person said. Biya is holding his card so close to his chest, but we are also hearing that the French president's visit to Cameroon in the coming days might change a lot of things, and the news will not be good for Dion Ngute. He has failed, and he must go for someone else to try. He has never spoken to any separatists and is not in a rush to resolve or solve this problem which is tearing the country apart. Many people hold that he is a likable character. He has a good smile, but others hold that behind the prettiest smiles hide some dark secrets, and the killing of Kenneth Nanji is one secret the Prime Minister is hiding. This is what our source tried to point out. Dion should be bracing for bad news. The country needs to go in a different direction, and Dion cannot lead the country down that road. Let us give younger people a chance. They may not have the magic wand, but they might do what their predecessors were unable to achieve. Time is of the essence. We can break the spiral of killings by using young people to do what has been a near impossibility. I am personally waiting. Our country must stop bleeding. We have the men who can change things for us. This source has just said her mind.
At the star building, not much is happening. The mood is somber, and the Prime Minister seems to be fully aware of the decision taken at the Unity Palace after months of secret meetings and interviews with potential replacements. In 3 years, the Prime Minister has not succeeded to talk to any influential separatists. He has not achieved anything, and he has been serving as an errand boy for the President and his Secretary General. That is not the job of a respectable Prime Minister. Even the Secretary General of the Presidency, Ferdinand Ngonga, disrespects Dion Ngute openly. We need a Prime Minister with character, a Prime Minister who will point the country in the right direction, a Prime Minister who will inspire hope. Now, this breaking news is courtesy Cameroon Concord, Opera News, and of course, Undaunted-Abc, Amba News. Now, I think there is some tussle in the corridors of power in Yaoundé as we speak right now. What do you think, Steph?
Well, I think so too. We'll be right back after this break.
You're watching the People's Television, ABC Amba TV, the voice of Ambazonia. Stay tuned.
All right, well, you know, from this particular breaking news, a whole lot has been said. You know, one would think that Dion Ngute is somewhat very respectable. And the last part of that particular news that I read out says a lot. Now, where it says he has not achieved anything and he has been serving as an errand boy for the President and his Secretary General. I'm sure that you weren't expecting that to be said about Dion Ngute, but this is what it is. This is what is happening, and this is why I would think that there is a whole lot of tussle in the corridors in Yaoundé. Yeah, and you know, it goes on to say that the job is for a respectable Prime Minister. Even the Secretary General of the Presidency, Ferdinand Ngonga, disrespects Dion Ngute openly. That's the word.
And now what they're saying is he has to go.
Well, he hasn't been
to come in.
Exactly. He hasn't been able to place enough value for himself. You know, and that's what I think that Ambazonians, we are proud. You know, we do not take everything that is being thrown at us. And this is why the struggle has to continue. This is why we must all draft. This is why we must all stand firm, especially the young people in Ambazonia. Use the platforms that you have to speak out. You're all on Facebook. Facebook, you can easily access, create a platform there. Use your voice, use your opportunity, use your data to spread the good news. We must get what we want. All right, and of course, still going on, extortions are still going on in Ambazonia. This report says the colonial gendarmes in Jakiri local government area, Bui County, extorts money for ID cards confiscated from denizens. Now the colonial gendarmes vented their anger at people after Ambazonia restoration fighters surprised them with provocative gunshots. Afraid to pursue the ARFs, they resorted as usual to the armless and vulnerable population with intimidating tactics. This incident happened last Saturday, July 16, 2022, when Ambazonia restoration fighters came to the central town in Jakiri local government area near the lone petrol station and fired and fired sporadically gunshots in the air and disappeared. Civilians took to their heels, while others found refuge in shops, bars, and homes along the Abakwa streets.
You know, it was barely 30 minutes after the combatants had left that civilians were already returning to their activities.
I'm sure that it would have been really, really scary for them, you know.
I mean, something you did not expect out of the blue, sporadic shootings. I mean, what were you planning on doing? And that's why they had to go into, you know, bars and, you know, homes nearby. And it was really, it's just crazy. And like the video we played, you heard the lady talk about people's mental health. With all this war going on and this whole, you know, shootings, you know, you could just be coming out of your house and you want to get something to eat and boom, there's a bullet, a stray bullet, or it's really telling on the mental health. I wonder what it is like for them, but we just hope they do eventually get to the negotiating table and finally Ambazonia gets free and this whole war comes to an end, because indeed to the mental health, it is telling.
Yeah, and just like the Vice President Eric Atei also advised when we had him on Undaunted last week, he encouraged Ambazonians to arm themselves. Well, I'm not going to mention any particular arm at this point, but I think that
Defend
could come.
Yourself.
Oh yeah, that could really come handy. You know, when it seems like everywhere is getting scattered and you do not know, and insecure, and you don't know what to do, just ensure that you're always prepared for whatever may come. All right, this is also a breaking news. At exactly 9 p.m. Amber time, we will have the state of liberation. Now, the topic will be visit of Macron in Cameroon amidst the chaotic situation. What is this situation all about? Now, of course, she will, when I mean she this time, you know who she is. She will be talking about controversy surrounding the fall of FMA, General Seven Carter's disappearance, Grandpa of Bali. All of these are all intertwined with the Coopers. Now, make out time with Lady KC. She steps in today for the Liberation Weekly briefings. So, of course, today a lady will be handling it. Just make sure that you make out your time at exactly 9 p.m. Amber time with Lady KC as she handles this week's Liberation briefings. Let's get you their editorial.
In our editorial of today, we bring to you an interesting article from Don 1OB titled, "Who is the better or worse traitor? The one who creates distractions for enemy attacks, or he who silences concealed enemy presence and activities? The one who divides your rank and loyalty into weaker and vulnerable units, or he who unites anger and frustration against the imperfections of your struggle? The one who sells you to the enemy, or he who buys you for the enemy? The one who saves the enemy from the course of defeat, or he who curses you to defeat? The one who betrays you to the enemy, or he who pays for your betrayal? The one who collects money from the enemy to do harm to the struggle, or he who steals from the struggle to complement enemy strategy? The one who pays tributes to the enemy in prayers of peace and unity, or he who pledges allegiance to the struggle with verses of apologies and charity? The one who unmasks a loyal fighter, or he who masks an enemy agent? The one who visits the enemy with compliment of victory, or he who invites the enemy with offering of defeat? The one who legitimizes the authority of the enemy, or he who delegitimizes the authority of your leader? The one who finances love for the enemy, or he who formed hatred of your identity and struggle? The one who says the enemy is your master, or he who says you are a slave? the one who praises the enemy for killing you, or he who condemns you for killing the enemy, the one who supports or joins the enemy to kill you, or those amongst you who kill each other, the one who stays with the enemy to who against you, or he who's within you and working for the enemy, the one who recognizes the authority of enemy government over your people, or he who doesn't recognize the government of your people, the one who commands the enemy with power, or he who condemns you with weakness, the one who inflicts you with a disease, or he who gives the cure to the enemy, the one who make up the kindness of the enemy, or he who unmake your generosity, the one who spread the influence of the enemy, or he who rubbishes your image and glory, the one who invents podium for the enemy's pride, or he who creates platforms for your shame and disgrace, the one who corrupts society with enemy narratives and propaganda, or he who contaminates people with falsehood and blackmail about our struggle, the one who defends enemy lies, or he who silences your truth, the one who illuminates the enemy's agenda, or he who makes darkness fall upon your hope, the one who shows the green light of salvation to the enemy, or he who flashes the red light of hell to you, the one who brings the enemy to your people, or he who takes your people to the enemy, the one who gives the enemy control over you, or he who keeps you under the control of the enemy, the one who disarms you, or he who arms the enemy, the one who opens the door for the enemy to come in, or he who closes the door against you, the one who brings about the revival of the enemy's agenda, or he who puts an end to the survival of your quest, the one who teaches love for the enemy, or he who preaches hatred against you, the one who throws kisses of affection to the enemy, or he who poisons the people's heart against you, the one who makes it possible for the enemy to succeed, or he who makes it possible for you to fail, the one who discourages you with enemy lies, or he who encourages the enemy with truth about your weaknesses, the one who discourages you with enemy lies, or he who encourages the enemy with truths about your weaknesses, the one who prospers the enemy, or he who makes and keeps you poor. A traitor is the enemy amongst you. Calling him brother, friend, or comrade should not change one's duty to neutralize an enemy. The one who discourages you with enemy lies, or he who encourages the enemy with truths about your weaknesses, the one who prospers the enemy, or he who makes and keeps you poor. A traitor is the enemy amongst you. Calling him brother, friend, or comrade should not change one's duty to neutralize an enemy. That was where he ended this beautiful article, and that's where we end our editorial for today. That was indeed insightful, coming from both perspectives. It is indeed an article of wisdom. If you want more articles like this, kindly visit our website at www.abcambertv.com for more. Subscribe and become a club member. Today, as always, I would like to exceptionally take you through our payment methods so that you can be a part of this winning strategy. It is simple. ABC Amber TV payment channels, Cash App, telephone number +1 240 486 8768, hashtag $Amber ABC, Zelle Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation, telephone +1 240 486 8768. PayPal payments at abcambertv.com. UK bank account, account holder Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation, sort code 231470, account number 229908885. IBAN GB25TRWI 23147022990885. Europe account, account holder Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation, BIC TRWIBEB1XXX, IBAN BE42967309341854. Australian bank account, account holder Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation, BSB code 802985, account number 2110400023. Canadian bank account, account holder, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation, institution number 621, account number 200110286-148. Transit number 16001, New Zealand account. Account holder, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation, account number 042021-010-420357. Thank you for your donations. I am Star Smart reporting for Undaunted-ABC Amba News.
And in sports. Ukrainian club Shakhtar Donetsk are demanding 50 million euros damages from FIFA for lost transfer fees. In June, football's world governing body ruled that foreign players in the country could suspend their contracts following Russia's invasion. The club have appealed to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, CAS, and said we had to do this because of FIFA's highly unfair ruling. Shakhtar Donetsk chief executive Sergei Pakin told BBC Sports.
Quote, the consequences mean we will continue to lose significant income from deals we expected to close. We would also like to highlight that given the situation Ukrainian clubs are facing with the war, there has been little respect shown towards this club by FIFA. FIFA has not looked to protect clubs and at no stage consulted with us to find a solution. They have seemingly ignored the perilous state that Ukrainian football clubs have been facing since the beginning of the war. Gabelison has more.
Latest world sports. Shakhtar Donetsk demand £43 million in damages from FIFA over lost transfer fees. Ukrainian club Shakhtar Donetsk are demanding €50 million for the £3 million damages from FIFA for lost transfer fees. In June, football's world governing body ruled that foreign players in that country could suspend their contracts following Russia's invasion. The club has appealed to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, CAS. We had to do this because of FIFA's highly unfair ruling, Shakhtar Donetsk chief executive Sergei Pakin told BBC Sport. The consequences mean we will continue to lose significant income from deals we expected to close. We would also like to highlight that given the situation Ukrainian clubs are facing with the war, there has been little respect shown towards these clubs by FIFA. FIFA has not looked to protect clubs and at no stage consulted with us to find a solution. They have seemingly ignored the perilous state that Ukrainian football clubs have been facing since the beginning of the war. Shakhtar, regulars in the Champions League, argue they lost money on 4 players who left the club after the players' contracts were suspended following FIFA's ruling. In a letter to CAS seen by the BBC, Pakin revealed, because of FIFA's decision, FC Shakhtar has lost a chance to transfer 4 foreign players for the total amount of about €50 million. 4 foreign players immediately withdrew from further negotiations regarding their potential transfers. The players' agents advised them to withdraw from negotiations in order to leave the club without any compensation, which would allow them to secure more lucrative arrangements with new employers. FIFA ruled on 21st June that, unless they reached an agreement with their club by 30th June, foreign players and coaches could suspend their contracts with Ukrainian clubs until 30th June 2023. Shakhtar had 14 foreign players in their squad and intended to sell some of those players in order to raise funds to cover their loss of earnings. Athletics. World Athletics Championships. Laura Muir takes bronze in 1500 meters. Britain's Laura Muir claimed the hard-fought bronze in the 1500 meters at the World Athletics Championships in Oregon. Muir had narrowly missed out on a medal in the past 3 World Finals, but ran a season's best 3 minutes 55.28 in an astonishingly quick race. 2-time Olympic champion Faith Kipyegon of Kenya in 3 minutes 52 seconds, with Ethiopia's Gudav Segei second. It was all about the medal. I took my time, but I'm so happy I got it, the squad told BBC Sport. Olympic silver medalist Muir had come close to a world medal before, having finished 5th, 4th, and 5th again in her last 3 outings. This time last year, I did not have any global outdoor medals, and now I have 2, the 29-year-old said. This was the one that was really bugging me. After I got the Olympic silver, I was like, This is the year. I am going to get it, and I have. I am so pleased. It is Great Britain's first medal of these championships. Gab Ellison reporting for Undaunted, ABC Amba News.
And with that sports report, we have come to the end of Undaunted tonight. But before we go, here is a recap of our major stories.
Mali is rebuilding economy after sanctions were lifted, and we found out who sanctioned Mali and why. We gave you a report that colonial gendarmes in Jakiri local government area, Boyi County, extorts money for ID cards confiscated for denizens. Chris Anna says he knows who killed his cousin Oliver, also known as FMA, and Ambazonians widely seem not to believe a word. We answered why Ambazonians did not believe a word from him.
We told you today that over 20 rebel groups has been suspended to participate in Chad peace talk. The move comes as a number of groups accuse the government of harassment, intimidation, threats, and disinformation. We also told you that Southern Cameroonians and Ambazonians expect nothing good from Macron's visit, and in sport, Shakhtar Donetsk demand 43 million euros in damages from FIFA over lost transfer fees. And that was it for Undaunted tonight, bringing to the news Untold Stories. On behalf of Michael Anchor Stir Smart and the entire Undaunted crew, we say thank you for tuning in.
We'll leave you with ABC Amba TV images. Good night and God bless you.